Next, move on to the next exciting session by Nagabarath, co-founder of Skyroot. I request sir to take the dais.
Hi everyone. Hello. Hope you have all the energy after lunch. Yes. So, hello all. I'm Bharat. I'm one of the co-founder of Skyroot Aerospace. Today I'll just give you a brief introduction of how we started as a company and the reason how we started and take you through a small part of our journey and our learnings briefly. Can you go to the next slide? So, as Dr. Kalam said, small aim is a crime. This is one of the singular things that have always inspired us. And what we endeavored to do when we started Skyroot in 2018 is not a small aim. And this was a key inspiration behind us. And can you go to the next slide? And we did aim high. In 2018, both myself and my co-founder Pawan, we used to work in ISRO before, in the rocket center of ISRO called Viksit Bharat Space Center. And while we were working there, like we've been exposed to what's happening in the world. I'm sure. How many of you are aware of the company called SpaceX? Lift your hands. So SpaceX is a company that is founded in 2002 by, of course, the visionary entrepreneur Elon Musk, and it has been a huge inspiration and a shocking inspiration to the world that a private sector entity can take up an endeavor in development of launch vehicles to space. And they've not only mastered the development of launch vehicles, but they have pioneered the concept of reusable launch vehicles, and they've been a huge inspiration to us. And as all of you know, thanks to Vikram Sarabhai, who had the vision to start the Indian space program in 1960s, space is one domain India can rub shoulders with the top 5 nations in the world. And our ISRO is one of the top, the government space agency of India is as capable of top space agencies in the world. Then, and looking at what SpaceX has achieved and looking at the capability inside our country, like because ISRO has already developed multiple launch vehicles and has already demonstrated ultra low cost space missions, as sir already mentioned that the Mars orbiter mission of us is very low cost space mission. So we have the capability to deliver highly reliable, low-cost space missions in the country already. But what we did not have is the capability in the private sector to design and develop it from scratch. We had good amount of industry, where a lot of manufacturing for ISRO and DRDO had been happening in the industry for a long time. But the design expertise was not there in the private sector yet. And that is the key problem we wanted to tackle it. And the first problem and the key problem in space sector is access to space. So access to space is extremely expensive even now. And that is the problem we wanted to solve. And we started a company called Skyroot Aerospace in 2018 with an objective to develop rockets to start with small satellite carrying capacity rockets from scratch and become one of the most affordable launch vehicle provider from India to the world. Because the low-cost ecosystem that India offers, the capability that ISRO has already demonstrated, that advantage naturally translates to private sector also. And we wanted to take advantage of that capability of India. With that objective, we started in 2018. When there's no policy, there's no regulation that a private space industry can actually, operate launch vehicles, satellites. This regulation was literally non-existent. And we have taken that leap of faith that it is an eventuality that is bound to happen in India. And with that leap of faith, we have started Skyroot in 2018. And all of you will know that 2020 is one of the bad years that has given the world like a COVID. But our Indian government has introduced a plethora of reforms in 2020, 2022 during the COVID. And one of those magnificent reforms is the space reforms. The Indian government has transformed the space sector in India. And what 1969, when Vikram Sarabhai started ISRO, is a pivotal moment for the space history of India. in 2020, 2021, the Indian government space reforms that have enabled private sector to operate, operate space infrastructure on their own is going to be equally transformative and will be remembered in the history books of Indian space history. And that kind of transformative reforms have helped companies like us, multiple private companies like us who have taken that leap of faith bet to be able to use the public infrastructure, the ISRO facilities, to be able to get the investor confidence to raise enough capital for the endeavor we are pursuing. All this happened thanks to the visionary space reforms, because just to give you an example, so we all know India to be the top 5 nations in the world in the space sector. But what percentage of market share in space sector do you think we have as a country? The global market of space economy is around 400 billion, out of which India hardly has 1 to 2% of market share. So even though we have all the technology, we do not have the economic share, the economy share in the space sector. And that can only be possible and enabled by participation of private sector and private sector collaboratively working with the public sector with a singular aim of making this India share in the global space economy to a double-digit 10% is one of the key objectives with which the space reforms were introduced. And once space reforms were introduced, it has been a huge boon to us. And can you go to the next slide? And this is the launch of Vikram S, and we call it the Prarambh mission. You can go to the next slide. You can go to the next slide. This happened in November 18, 2022. This is the first private rocket that went to space, not only from India, but entire Southeast Asia and South Asia. And we have achieved this on November 18, 2022. And just 6 months from introduction of the space reforms and the formation of the space regulatory body. And it was a commendable achievement, and it has been a proof point of private sector capability and what private startups, space startups can demonstrate in the space sector for the world by India. And of course, it has been we have received a lot of accolades, and Prime Minister himself has spent a lot of time in his beloved podcast, Man Ki Baat, about this achievement. You can go to the next one. So as a company, as we mentioned, we are trying to solve the problem of space access, and we are building launch vehicles. And the first one we launched is a suborbital one that just went to space. And the next one we are on the verge of going to our first launch is Vikram 1, which we named our launch vehicles after the visionary Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who started the space program of India and who is the father of Indian space program. And our Vikram 1 rocket is already in preparation, and within few months, we are going to have our maiden launch attempt and have a liftoff from Sriharikota soon. And this is our series of launch vehicles we are developing with the key objective of making them affordable and reliable, and with a rapid launching capability. The ability to rapidly launch satellites is going to be very key asset for our country, both strategically and commercially, and especially for strategic purposes. And our launch vehicle design is especially conducive to be able to launch rapid missions within short notice. Within a few days of notice, we will be able to launch, integrate and launch our rocket. And our design is very modular and easy to launch with a very minimal launch infrastructure. You can go to the next slide. And of course, we can't forget Dr. Kalam. And our one of the key, the heart or the engine of a rocket, the gun that powers the rocket are the engines. And most of our engines are solid propulsion engines. And we have named all the solid propulsion stages of our rocket after Dr. Kalam in his good memory. And we have 3 solid motor stages in our Vikram 1. Both are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, all are solid propulsion technology powered. And we call them Kalam 100. Each number represents the thrust that each stage delivers. Kalam 100, Kalam 250, and Kalam 1200. Kalam 1200 is the India's largest monolithic solid rocket motor, which we have testified recently. And you can go to the next slide. The video of it will be played. You can click on the video. That's the video there. Audio is not there. Yeah, you'll get to watch it again with audio, hopefully in a minute. So this is the ground static fire test of all our 3 solid stage motors combined for you in a glimpse. These are stage 3, the Kalam 100 and Kalam 250. This is test that happened in Sriharikota. And now the next one is the biggest monolithic solid rocket motor test ever that happened recently in in the history of that test bed in Sriharikota. Just to give you a glimpse, to convert the energy in that solid motor in terms of energy terms, the electricity energy terms, it is like 3 gigawatts of energy, instantaneous energy is captured in that motor. It can instantaneously power, say, 30 lakh homes at once, the energy in that motor. That much energy is expelled in just 100 seconds to propel the rocket to multiple kilometers of second speed. You can go to the next one. So now is the time to go higher for us. Now, as a company, as a Skyroot, the next big milestone for us is to reach orbit with our Vikram 1 launch vehicle and actually put a satellite around the orbit around the Earth. And our maiden launch attempt will be there in a few months. And this is where we're preparing for. What you see here is our Vikram 1, most of the subsystems of Vikram 1 launch vehicle in our facility, which is very close by here. You can go to the next one. So just as a final message, the future of space belongs to those who are bold enough to chase it. And at Skyroot, we are not just building rockets, we are building the pathway to the stars for a generation of dreamers and innovators. Because this is what we are doing at Skyroot is very much essential in the space ecosystem. Just to give you a glimpse, Shubhanshu Shukla ji has gone to the International Space Station. And just to give you a glimpse, we as a nation have had to spend close to 500 crores for the training, for that entire activity to happen. It is immensely useful. It is immensely useful activity for our own Gaganyaan mission, our own Bharat Antariksh Space Station mission. The knowledge Shubhanshu Shukla ji gained by the training, in the International Space Station will be immensely useful for our own space program. But for that, we had to spend a lot because going to space is even now extremely, extremely expensive. And if we reduce the cost of going to space by an order of magnitude, the number of applications we can unleash are unimaginable. Like you can consider the space sector currently is in a phase where when computers are invented, like how in that phase, even the topmost experts in the computer, when computers were invented, the topmost industry expert couldn't even imagine the use. Why would anyone use a computer at home? The people who invented internet could not even imagine how the internet we are using today. They could not even the inventors of internet could not even imagine what kind of applications would come out of it. Space is at that verge. Just making the access to space cheaper will unleash the range of applications which we can't even imagine. Even the industry experts can't even imagine today. That is the power of space, and we are at an inflection point in that transformation in the world. The entire world is going to get transformed from an Earth-based economy to a space-based economy. And finally, a few tidbits of gyan from me. And just can you go to the last slide? Can you go to the last slide? Yeah, just few pointers that I want to personally convey is we are in an era where in last 2 decades, we had the information at our fingertips due to internet. But now we are entering an era, it's not just information, even the intelligence is at fingertips now. The AI on your smartphones, like, it can even think for you. So in this domain, like, what I strongly recommend is do not outsource your thinking. Use machines to think better, to amplify your mind, but not stop using your mind. And stay anchored in your values. Truth, empathy, and integrity are the things that no algorithm can replace, and that's the true value that humans are going to give in the future to any systems. And build things, don't just consume. Like anything, the best way to learn anything is to do it or build it. Just learning or reading or watching can only get you somewhere. Always get your hands dirty, build things to be able to learn anything in the best way. And last but not the least, learn the fundamentals, especially first principles. There's something called first principles thinking. Everyone should learn any concept in terms of first principles. Ability to break down a problem into a mutually exclusive and exhaustive set of small problems is the key capability that one needs to develop in the era of AI. Because artificial intelligence can give answers, can think for you and give the answers. But ability to ask the right questions comes from the ability to think in fundamentals, ability to know the basics, and think in first principles. And this is a capability that you should develop, and do not stop learning, and do not, and this is something that you cannot ignore. Learning fundamentals is absolutely important in the future for you to meaningfully contribute to any field in the era of AI. Wish you all the best, and let's wish us a happy birthday to Dr. Kalam. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. I'm sorry if I'm delaying.
Hello. Do anyone have questions to ask, sir? Yes. Coordinators, can you please pass on the mic? Please pass on the other mic. Don't you have the other mic?
You are the responsible. The choice is yours. No, I'm able to speak. I'm able to speak louder than you. But this is your responsibility. I'm giving a wonderful opportunity.
Check
On the
boxes.
second
Hello.
A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. Now you not taken this opportunity.
Hello. Hello.
Maybe you miss.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
My name is Aditi, and I'm currently pursuing BTech first year under MGIT as a mechatronics student. So basically, not many people have an idea on mechatronics, right? So the field you're talking about, like space field, and under your guidance,
You are an
think it's
engineering
possible,
student, right? So you have to dare to
nail a career
Okay?
under
Are you
your
ready?
guidance, probably. And when? What do you think is required to gain career advancement or career opportunities under your guidance? That's the main question here. Being a mechatronics student.
So you're talking about the opportunity of mechatronics in general? Yeah.
Under you, basically.
Yeah. So like mechatronics is essentially the need, like it's an application engineering field essentially. So in real world you cannot, to build a system, to build a system that moves, you need to have fundamental mechanical system knowledge. To build a system with intelligence, you need to have fundamental software or electronics knowledge. So any system, that real world useful system you build, it requires multifaceted engineering capability. And mechatronics has stemmed out from that need to have that multifaceted engineering knowledge to develop any meaningful robotic system or any mechanism. And space is one domain where there's a lot of applications for mechanisms development. In space, there's a lot of deployment mechanisms. In rocket, we have separation mechanisms, where like lot of electromechanical actuated systems are there, and having good fundamentals gaining good fundamentals in mechanical domain and ability to program and have a good knowledge of electronic control aspects and control theory is very much important to be able to solve and single-handedly handle and lead projects in that system. So mechatronics as a domain has a very good feature, but the key to that is to master the fundamentals in both mechanical and electronics domain. And if you have the fundamentals right, mechatronics is a great application engineering field who can readily contribute to the development of any kind of mechanisms in systems. All the best. Thank you.
Student coordinators, boys, first line.
I am okay. I have a hard stop at 4 o'clock. That's why I asked.
You want us?
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Hi.
So
Yeah.
basically,
Hello.
I have
1,
two
2, 3.
questions. Like, what's the best way from an idea to execution? Like, when you're working on your systems in rockets and propulsion, like, if you have an idea, what's the best possible way to execute it? Basically, that's my first question. Second, what are the capabilities or ability you look for when you hire a new engineer? So I come from an aerospace background, like I'm in my first year. So if you could say on that.
I'm not sure I got the second question right. Can you repeat the second question?
Basically, when you hire new engineers, so what do you look in them? Like, what kind of things do you look in them?
Sure. Thank you. So the first thing is about like idea to execution. So any idea you get that, and the first thing you should do is to conceive what if it's a product idea. I'll give you an example. If it's a product idea, it can be a service or anything. If it's a product idea, you should conceive the what is the core problem you're going to solve and develop a minimum viable product or a minimum viable proof of concept that actually tests whether your idea makes sense or whether your solution that you thought actually works. That coming up with that minimum viable product is one of the key thing, so that with that you can then know what steps do you need to do to be able to test out either your solution works or whether your solution is useful to the real world. So first step is to get just formulate that minimal viable product, and then the world is at your for it to actually try out how to make that minimum viable product. And now that with the advancement of AI, you can actually have a partner, a PhD level partner with you on your phone to be able to help you out to go to that minimum viable product. And with respect to hiring right people, so the key thing we always look out, as I mentioned in my end of my presentation, is for fundamentals. Like application knowledge is if there are two things in our hiring experience as a company, if there are two things for any engineer to be able to learn on the job, it is easy for them to learn the application field. Means if aerospace is an application field. Aerospace is a mix of mechanical, electrical, chemical, propulsion, all kinds of skill sets and engineering, even software. So the application knowledge is easy to learn on the job, but the fundamentals are not easy to learn on the job. So having sound fundamentals is an order of magnitude more important than knowing the application and not having your fundamentals strong. So that if you know application, you can only solve that application. If a fresh problem is thrown, it's the fundamentals that will help you solve any fresh problem that is thrown at you. So always be good at fundamentals, and learning application knowledge will be a cakewalk.
Hello. Hello, sir. How do we join Skyroot? Just a simple question. How do we join Skyroot?
So we do have multiple requirements, and like of course as a fresher we do hire freshers from time to time, but the amount of freshers we hired may be in a smaller percentage. But the key thing, as I mentioned, like being strong in your fundamentals, and like there, whichever domain of engineering you are, if you're already working somewhere, gaining the relevant experience, but being sharp and like having that attitude and aptitude towards the space tech and having good fundamentals in your vertical core of expertise is generally enough when we filter. But of course, it is also a function of the requirement we have as a company.
Yes.
So,
I mean, do you have any exams or do you give out notifications? Like, how does it work?
yeah, we do put out the posts in our social media, like in LinkedIn or something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the organizations for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring and enlightening session. So now, guys, get ready to groove. Please join with me in welcoming an electrifying dance performance by Nandini, who has an experience of 10 years in dance. So please give a round applause to her.